My name is Gord Neal. I'm the president of New Pacific Metals. I'm going to be making some forward-looking statements. I'm going to try to keep us on time. I'll look at share structure. In the private placements that we had, this is just to give us an idea of how much cash we have. In the initial private placements in July of 17, we did 44 million. And with the private placement with Pan American, it actually came into the second private placement and put in 19 million. It gave us shares on outstanding, those shares on outstanding of 132.86 million. The financial position after those placements was $72 million. So cash and investments, the use of funds. In the first year, of the 72 million, we used 44 million or 36 million to buy the property. We did drilling and G&A that left us with 29 million at the end of last year, the middle of last year. The remaining funds were estimated to be 26 million. If we go through our drill program this year to June 19, we'll spend $9 million on drilling and 1.2 on G&A. That'll leave us with $16 million in the kitty at June this year. We do have warrants that are they're not in the money yet, but if they get exercised by Pan American, that'll give us another $20 million, and they are exercisable. They expire in May, so we expect to have another $20 million before June. So you add that to the 16, and we'll be looking at $36 million, hopefully by the end of June. We acquired the project for $40 million, as I said. Spent $80 million or $8.2 million. Actually, it was $10 million on 55 million meters of drilling. We purchased two more projects to the north of Silver Sand. We just completed an MOU. The reason we've been drilling for a year or over a year, we've got 55,000 meters. We put out no results because we were out trying to increase that land position from 3 square kilometers to 60 square kilometers, and we were successful. We were employing 40 people on the site, and I just said that we increased it to about 57 from 3 square kilometers. Leadership, Dr. Ray Feng is the CEO. I'm the president. Ray Feng is the CEO of Silver Corp and of New Pacific. Jack Austin is a Canadian senator who has got a securities law degree and is excellent as our chairman. John McCluskey is the president of Alamos Gold. Greg Hawkins is the chairman of Yellowhead. David Kong is our audit committee chairman. He's excellent, been around for a long time. Martin Waphorn is Pan American's representative on the board. With the private placements, Silver Corp took 27% of the companies. Pan American owned 16%. They wrote a $27 million check. Ray Feng wrote a $4 million check and took an 7.5% position. So out of the 132 million shares, half of them are in insider hands. Today the price is 150, 155. We have a market cap of 200 million. So the project is Silver Sand. It's 25 kilometers northeast of Cerro Rico. Cerro Rico is the oldest running silver mine in the world, was founded in 1525 by the Spaniards and is still in production today. That's it there. We're 4,000 meters above sea level. That's quite high, but we can manage it. We have local people working it, so we can actually withstand those kinds of atmospheres. It's actually 5 square kilometers when we take it out to from 3.7 to 5 in terms of the actual square area. But as I told you, we just inked a deal with the government of Bolivia and Comibol, which gives us now about 57 square kilometers. This is the map that we worked so hard over the last 9 months to obtain and not put any drill results. So the red area in the center there and the red area above to the north of it was the original land package. I had Peter McGaw, who's an ex-MAG, who's a MAG silver founder like myself. He went out to the property and said, "You've got to get more land. This place is mineralized to the hilt." So we went back to Comibol and the government, and we negotiated another 53 square kilometers. Now this is the what we have to do to get that land is we got a 45-year lease on the land. We have to spend $6 million over 5 years, and they get a 4% NSR, essentially. The host rocks is sandstone. This is the grid here, their drill grid. It's 1.6 kilometers long by about 800 meters wide. The spacing on that is 100 meters. And the mineralization, again, is in sandstone, which is important because the reason it got missed over Cerro Rico is that it's difficult to see the dissemination of the silver in the sandstone because it's very porous and the fluids push into the rock. So the artisanals couldn't see the mineralization. They only went after what they could see in the cracks and left the rest. So that's why it's there. This is an important slide in that geologically, when the geologists see this cloud, it usually stops them. These was from our from channel sampling and confirmation drilling. You can see that the numbers are quite robust there. 187 meters of 162 grams, 21 meters of 263 grams, 133 meters of 226, on and on. This is close to surface. Bolivia has been underexplored, so it's hard to find properties like this where mineralization basically starts at surface with these kinds of numbers, because some of them are channel samples. Mexico, everything that's an outcrop has been found. You have to go deep to find it. This is for us, it's a good opportunity to work on projects that start at surface and are shallow. This again is just a table of the numbers that verify those numbers. 152 meters of 179, 195 of 168, 191 of 245, 108 of 86, including 58 of 134, 102 of 197, and 133 of 226. Again, all close to surface. And that's what makes this will make this economic. This is just a cross section of those same numbers. You can see the mineralization basically starts at surface. The 102 of 197 is a confirmation hole that we drilled. They drilled a 191 of 245. So again, that's just confirmation. Cross section 54 and section 54, we had 187 meters of 162. That was our hole. Their hole was 100, and hard for me to see from here without my glasses, 195 of 157. Section 46, again a confirmation hole. They got a 108 of 86, and that was ours, 108 of 86. They got 155 of 179, bit of an anomaly, but still wide area mineralization, good grades. Metallurgy, we did metallurgy in China, and we did some here. We're doing some here as well. But the average grade, when you're looking at flotation, average recovery is 86%. CIL cyanization, we're getting 92%, and a combination of leaching and flotation, we're getting anywhere from 89 to 98%. These are kind of old numbers. We're currently redoing the metallurgy, and the numbers, I'm happy with the numbers. They're anywhere between 86% recovery to 95% recovery. But we'll put those numbers out as we get them official. Why Bolivia? Well, that's the biggest question. With mineralization at surface, the kind of grades we're talking about, the biggest risk, we don't find that the property or the geology is a risk. It's fairly easy. It would be the government and the government risk. Bolivia has had, up until 2005 or 2006, Bolivia had a different government every year for 35 years prior to that. Since 2005, they've had the same government. They did have their challenges. They actually went out and privatized the oil industry, but they realized or the gas industry, that didn't work for them. They went back and actually handed the gas fields back to the companies they took them from, and they turned to, and it's a mining-centric country. A third of their GDP comes from mining, so they are a government that's been beginning to understand foreign investment is important, still a risk. But I've worked at the highest levels of government in Canada, and I can tell you these guys are getting it. And with the agreement we just did, they definitely are on the right track to make sure this works. So they welcome how to grow in Bolivia. We acquired 100% of the concessions. How I grow in Bolivia, they want partners and not bosses. So We were working, you have to work with them. They're an indigenous group. Evo Morales is the first indigenous president in Bolivia ever. And so they look after their people. So if you don't work with the communities first, you're going to have a problem. And we start by working with the communities. And that is my presentation. And do we have any questions? The question was, how long before we build a mine? Well, first of all, Winston, we got to get the results out from the 195 holes we've drilled. And since we've done, we just put the land package or the land acquisition release out. It'll be coming out any day. So once we see those holes, and we wouldn't have obviously, if you read between the lines, there's no sense in getting more land to 6 times the land you have if you haven't seen something that you like. So the answer to your question is, I would say we'll have a resource out by the end of the year. We've already done 55,000 meters of drilling. We'll do another 50,000 meters of drilling this year, and then by the end of the year we'll have a resource out. Now, after the resource comes a PEA and a mine, etc. Ray Fang is not. He's a guy who is an entrepreneur, and he wants to make money. He makes money. He doesn't lose money. So. And to do that, you have to actually get a mine in production as quickly as possible. I said I was one of the founders of MAG, or one of the original guys at MAG. We found the Val de Cañas vein, or the Juanicipio vein, in 2007, and they're still not in production. That wouldn't work for him. He found the Ying mines in 2004 and had them into production by 2007. So this is not China, this is Bolivia, but he's going to move it. He'll move it. We'll move it fairly quickly. Oh, the assays will be out any day because we were waiting on the land acquisition. If they had put those assays out without the land acquisition, we probably would have had a rush on the land. So for shareholder purposes, it was better for us to get the land first and then put the board has kept themselves, have kept themselves tight for that reason. Well, thanks, Winston, for that question. The question is, did we get as much land as we thought we could get, or did we get as much as possible? We actually only started out thinking we could get 25 extra kilometers. We got 57. So, and they actually in the end of the negotiations walked up to us and said, you know what, we're going to give you the rest. And we just went, okay, fine. So. No. Well, I mean, I would be greedy if I wanted, and I am greedy. I'd want more, but for them to go from 3 square kilometers to 57 in 4.5 months, I mean, that's a record for these guys. Usually that would take them 18 months to 2 years. Yeah. A tax deal? No, the taxes are the taxes. We pay our taxes, but they will. But they get a 4% GSV. It's essentially an NSR. I would have loved to have had a buyback on that, but this is their first time. This is the first contract of its type in Bolivia. So on the next contract that I'm looking at, I'm going to try to get a buyback on an NSR, and then hopefully I can apply it to this one. But I'm thinking in the sky. But that's my. Mm-hmm. Well, we're looking. We have an exploration play, but if Comibol owns the most prospective lands in Bolivia, and if we could get an exploration play and a development play that moves us forward, and at very little cost to the shareholder, then that's my job to try to execute that. Thank you. Thank you.